Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.
Fellas, you all know that our goal this year is Ford preference. At least we've talked about it at practically every meeting we've had this year. We want to make our great new 52 Ford the most preferred car in this community. But we can't do it by selling only to Ford owners. I think that's obvious to all of us. To get Ford preference, we've got to cut in on competition. We've got to get more and more people out of Chevrolets and Plymouths and other competitive makes and into Fords. To do that, we've got to know just where and why Ford is superior to these other cars, why it is the best value. So today, let's compare the 52 Ford with the 52 Plymouth in the main things the average customer wants in the car he buys. Now, just what does a buyer want in a car? Well, first he wants appearance. A good-looking car with modern design and stylish lines. He wants attractive, harmonizing colors, inside and out. A car he can be proud of. In short, a car that's new. Next, he wants performance. A car with plenty of get up and go. A car that responds with a powerful burst of speed when he needs it. And then he wants safety. A car that's safe to drive because it provides better visibility in all kinds of weather and safe, sure stops under all driving conditions. Next, he wants comfort and convenience. He wants a car that rides smoothly and handles easily. A car with those little refinements that make driving a pleasure instead of a chore. And of course, perhaps most important of all, he wants economy. He wants a car that gives him the best value for his money. A low-priced car that's inexpensive to operate and that brings him top dollar when he trades it in with a minimum of loss due to depreciation. There they are. Appearance, performance, safety, comfort and convenience, and economy. Those are the things people really buy when they buy a car. So let's use these yardsticks for comparing the 52 Ford with 52 Plymouth. First, the yardstick of appearance. Naturally, today's buyer wants a car that looks good and that looks new. He wants a car with stylish lines and modern design. Does Plymouth have it? Well, this was the Plymouth four-door sedan in 1949. Here's the same model for 1950. Here it is for 1951. And here it is for 1952. Look at each of these models closely. Okay? Now, here they are in different order and without identifying dates. Can you tell the 52 model from the 50, or even from the 49? The buyer of a 52 Plymouth certainly doesn't have a very distinctive car, does he? In contrast, compare the 52 Ford with Plymouth styling for the past 4 years. Which is the most modern car? Which will stand out as a really new car? I think the answer is obvious. Now let's get down to cases. Here's the 52 Ford Custom Line four-door and the 52 Plymouth Cranbrook. It's easy to see that the Ford is much lower and wider, and yet it has greater road clearance and more interior shoulder room than Plymouth. Now that's modern, functional design. From the sides, you get another good comparison of the difference in design of the two cars. The Ford has a sleeker, longer, more road-hugging appearance. From whatever angle you look at it, the modern design of the 52 Ford provides the buyer with breathtaking new beauty and a distinctiveness which can't be matched by Plymouth. Now, in addition to body lines and design, exterior body colors and interior upholstery fabric colors and patterns have much to do with a car's appearance and beauty. And Ford gives buyers a much wider choice of body style, color, and upholstery combinations than Plymouth. A total of 223 combinations, while Plymouth has less than 100. And here's another thing. Only Ford offers two-tone combinations on sedans and coupes. Plymouth offers two-tones only on their higher-priced Belvedere hardtop model, and only 3, as compared to 8 on the Ford Victoria. Also, as you know, SaddleTex, our special two-tone vinyl upholstery, is optional on all Ford 2-doors, 4-doors, and coupes. Plymouth does not have this option available. In addition, Ford has still another advantage over Plymouth by offering a greater choice of models. Counting both our 6 and V8 engines, Ford has 18 models compared to Plymouth's 10. So you can see that from the standpoint of appearance, inside and out, Ford gives the buyer far more distinctiveness and real standout beauty than Plymouth. Now, what about performance? Which car is better engineered to give maximum power at minimum cost? Well, first, to satisfy different drivers' needs and desires, Ford, as you know, offers a choice of 2 high-powered economical engines. The big Stratostar V8 with 110 horsepower, or the brand-new overhead valve Mileage Maker 6 with 101 horsepower. On the other hand, Plymouth offers only an L-head 6 with 97 horsepower, less horsepower than either of the 2 Ford engines. In addition to the Ford superiority in horsepower, Ford engines also have these extra advantages. First, both Ford engines give more horsepower per cubic inch of displacement, for more power with less gas. Also, both Ford engines produce greater torque or twisting effort for better acceleration. Now, as you can see on this chart, both the V8 and the 6 have a shorter stroke than the Plymouth engine, and as you know, that means less power is lost to friction. Also, Ford's exclusive automatic power pilot or full vacuum spark control adds further to the superior performance of both Ford engines. Here's a Ford feature that we ought to bear down on: waterproof ignition. Notice how the neoprene boots cover the spark plug insulator to keep water, moisture, and dampness from short-circuiting wires and spark plugs. This feature is mighty important to the owner because it means that when he turns the ignition switch in wet weather, his Ford will start and run without sputtering. Plymouth has a neoprene jacket cover on the wire cable, but as you can see, it does not extend down to cover the spark plug itself. Water and moisture can still adversely affect the performance of the Plymouth engine. And we should call the buyer's attention to Ford's free-turning valves on both V8 and 6, and explain that they are free to rotate to avoid uneven wear and warpage. This gives the owner better engine performance and longer engine life. The Plymouth engine does not have free-turning valves. We can also point out that Ford's valve guides are cast in the head of the overhead valve Mileage Maker 6. This construction, not found in the Plymouth engine, results in a quieter, cooler running valve operation and longer engine life. In addition, there's space completely surrounding all cylinders in both the Ford 6 and V8 engines. This permits water to circulate and cool each cylinder evenly. Because of the design of the Plymouth block, it's impossible for water to circulate completely around any cylinder in the Plymouth engine. Therefore, cylinder wall distortion may develop due to uneven cooling. In addition to these outstanding engine advantages, Ford's superiority over Plymouth in power and performance is even more evident when you consider the fact that Ford offers an exclusive choice of 3 transmissions: conventional, overdrive, and Ford-O-Matic, any one of which is available with our 6 or V8. This gives us a total of 6 power transmission combinations to sell on the Ford. On the other hand, Plymouth has only 1 engine to offer with either of 2 transmissions, conventional or overdrive. Yes, when it comes to performance, Ford not only offers a greater selection of engines and transmissions, but any one of the 6 Ford engine and transmission combinations gives the owner greater power and better performance. Now, how about safety? We all know that the average driver wants a safe car. He wants to be able to see where he's going and be able to stop when he wants to. In other words, he wants good visibility and good brakes. Well, first, how does Ford stack up against Plymouth on visibility? One glance tells a big story. The Ford windshield is curved and of one-piece construction. Plymouth has a two-piece windshield, and the glass is flat. There's a real safety story, and beauty, too, in Ford's big windshield. No center divider to block vision, and over 107 square inches more glass area than Plymouth's two-piece windshield. This is a big selling point in our favor. Also, there's 31% more glass area in Ford's big car-wide rear window. 978 square inches to 746 for Plymouth. This provides the Ford driver better vision to the rear for safer driving and easier parking. In fact, Ford's superior all-around visibility is clearly indicated by a comparison of total glass area. 3,211 square inches for Ford, 2,779 for Plymouth. 432 square inches more glass area in Ford for safer, more enjoyable driving. And here's another thing. Plymouth's windshield wipers are electrically driven. However, there's only one speed, while in Ford, the windshield wipers are vacuum-powered, and their speed is adjustable. Slow for a drizzle, top speed for a downpour. And at top speed, they operate almost twice as fast as Plymouth's. Now, how about brakes? Ford has a brake lining area of over 173.5 square inches. Plymouth has only 158. In other words, Ford has an advantage of over 15.5 square inches more brake lining area for safer, surer stops. And another thing, Ford's hydraulic master brake cylinder is located high on the dash panel, where it is protected from splashing road water and mud, and also where it can be easily serviced. Plymouth's master brake cylinder is under the floor pan, where it can pick up road slush and where it's not likely to be serviced until after brake trouble develops. And here's another Ford brake advantage. Ford's emergency handbrake operates on the two rear wheel brake drums. It'll stop the car quickly, and when a tire has to be changed, it'll keep the rear wheels from turning. Plymouth has a parking brake, not an emergency brake. It operates on one small brake drum on the drive shaft, so it cannot do a very efficient job of stopping the car. For changing a rear wheel, Plymouth furnishes this wedge and cautions owners to put it against the opposite front wheel when changing a rear tire because the Plymouth is free to roll when one rear wheel is off the ground, even if the parking brake is on. Yes, you can really emphasize and dramatize safety when you compare Ford with Plymouth. Better visibility, both front and rear, plus a better braking system contribute to Ford's overall superiority over Plymouth in driving safety. Now let's turn to comfort and convenience. Every car buyer wants these benefits. A car that's restful to ride in and easy to handle. A car that has those little refinements that makes driving a real pleasure. First of all, let's take a look at comfort. In Plymouth advertising, a big point is made of the interior room, inferring that competitive makes have cramped interiors. To some, the high, bulky appearance of the 52 Plymouth would seem to indicate that it had more inside room than the sleeker, more streamlined, modern 52 Ford. However, actual dimensions prove that the 52 Ford is bigger inside, with more shoulder room and more hip room front and rear, and more front leg room than Plymouth. Though Ford headroom is slightly less than Plymouth, it's ample even for the tallest drivers. In other words, by scientific planning, Ford designers have created a truly modern car with a large, roomy interior without sacrifice to a low, graceful exterior appearance. Another important factor in driving comfort is the construction of the seats. Ford has foam rubber cushions in both front and rear seats on all models as standard equipment. Plymouth does not have foam rubber seats as standard equipment on any model. If the Plymouth buyer wants them, he has to pay extra for them. And he can't get foam rubber in the rear seats on Concord models at all. Don't forget that point when you're selling against Plymouth. Another seating comfort feature is Ford's new automatic posture control front seat adjustment. It's easy in Ford because the strong assist springs helps the driver move the seat forward to the desired position. In a Plymouth, he'd have to pull the seat forward under his own power. Also, Ford's clutch and brake pedals are suspended from above. This new pedal suspension adds to driver comfort by providing easier pedal action and more footroom. It also does away with holes in the floor, which admit noise and invite dust and water leakage. Plymouth's pedals, as you know, still protrude from the floor. Also, the clutch pedal pressure required is greatly reduced in the Ford because of the Ford semi-centrifugal clutch. The semi-centrifugal clutch utilizes a system of weights on the pressure plate, which makes it unnecessary to use heavy springs to assure good contact between the pressure plate and the clutch disc. Thus, the pedal pressure required by the driver is reduced. Plymouth does not have a semi-centrifugal clutch. Consequently, heavier pressure plate springs must be used, increasing the effort required for the driver to depress the clutch pedal. Ford's standard ventilating system, too, is another great comfort advantage in our favor. Twin ducts permit circulation of fresh air in any kind of weather to prevent fogging of windows and increase driver comfort. Plymouth still uses the old-fashioned unsightly cowl ventilator, which is practically useless in wet weather. Also, all Ford models are equipped with rain deflectors on the vent windows, which permit leaving them open even during a rain. On the other hand, Plymouth vent windows are not equipped with this comfort feature. Consequently, on rainy days, the Plymouth owner is either subjected to the discomfort of little or no ventilation or annoying splashes of rain in the car. And now, let's take a look at the factors which contribute to riding comfort. Both Ford and Plymouth have a similar suspension system with independent front coil springs, longitudinal rear springs, similar acting shock absorbers, and Hotchkiss drive. However, the specifications of these components vary. For example, Ford's rear springs have a tension shackle, which automatically adjusts the rear spring resistance in proportion to the severity of the bump shock. Plymouth's rear spring shackles are the less costly compression type. They do not adjust the spring resistance to meet varying road conditions. Therefore, Plymouth's rear suspension lacks one of Ford's most vital ride control features. Also, Ford's front coil springs are tailored to weight. Different springs are used on different models, thus providing the proper deflection rate for every combination of engine, transmission, and body style. Plymouth does not offer this wide variety of front springs. Consequently, Plymouth's riding characteristics may vary from model to model. Also, Ford's front wheel tread of 58 inches is over 2 inches wider than the Plymouth front tread. This wider front tread gives the Ford greater front-end stability and better maneuverability on turns. In addition to these three advantages in suspension features, the Ford ride is even more stable and comfortable because Ford is heavier than Plymouth. The Plymouth shipping weight is approximately 50 pounds lighter than the Ford 6 and over 100 pounds lighter than the Ford V8. All these advantages add up to greater comfort in the Ford. More room, better ventilation, foam rubber seats, and a superior ride. Now let's compare these cars for convenience, the little design features that make such a big difference driving the car. First, of course, is the location of the Ford gas tank filler at the rear. There's no protruding filler neck to mar the beauty of the fender line, and the Ford can be easily serviced from either side of the gas pump. Plymouth's gas tank filler, as you know, still protrudes out of the fender with no flap to cover it. This is not only unattractive, but it makes it difficult to service from the left side of the gas pump. Also, gas spillage on the fender collects dirt and dust, which forms an unsightly spot on the finish of the car. Ford's beautifully curved flight-style control panel, in addition to beauty, has several comfort and convenience advantages over Plymouth's. For example, the ignition switch, the headlight switch, the windshield wiper control, and the ventilation control knob on the Ford are all clustered at the left, within easy reach of the driver, out of reach of anybody else. Here's where these controls are located on Plymouth's instrument panel. And here's another convenience feature. The 52 Ford Custom Line and Crestline models have two courtesy lights, one on each center post, near all four-door openings. These lights go on when either the right or the left front door is opened, or they can be conveniently turned on and off with this handy switch on the instrument panel. Plymouth has just one dome light, far to the rear, and it goes on only when the right front door is opened. When the driver opens his door, no light comes on in the Plymouth. And to turn the Plymouth dome light on from the inside, the driver must awkwardly twist around to reach the switch located on the center post. Here's a real convenience advantage for Ford. To open the Ford luggage compartment, all you have to do is put the key in and turn it to the right. The deck lid lifts up by itself. To open the Plymouth rear deck lid, you have to insert the key, turn it, and then turn the handle. Luggage space, of course, is important to the buyer, and yet Plymouth has only 20 cubic feet of luggage space, whereas Ford has 26.2, over 6 cubic feet more usable luggage space than Plymouth. Note, too, how the Ford hinges are located far to the side, where they don't obstruct usable luggage space. Plymouth's hinges are located near the center and protrude down into the luggage area, thereby reducing the usable storage space. Also, note the straw-like matting on the floor. This is subject to unsightly wrinkles and tearing. Contrast this with the neat, snug-fitting rubber mat in the Ford luggage compartment. This is just one more indication of the better quality found throughout the Ford. Yes, for real driver and passenger convenience, inside and out, the Ford far surpasses Plymouth. A Ford-Plymouth comparison wouldn't be complete without comparing the two utility-type models, the Plymouth Suburban and the new Ford Ranch Wagon. Here's the 52 Plymouth Suburban. Plymouth has had this utility station wagon field pretty much to itself up to now. In fact, in 1951, Plymouth registered over 25,000 utility wagons. That's quite a market. This year, with the all-new Ford Ranch Wagon, we can capture a good share of this market, especially if we prove Ford's greater value. So let's compare them. First, the wheelbase of the Ford Ranch Wagon is 4 inches longer. Its overall length is 8 inches longer, and its weight is approximately 400 pounds greater than the Plymouth Suburban. And it has bigger tires, 710 by 15, as compared to Plymouth's 640 by 15. In addition to its more modern beauty, Ford's Ranch Wagon is available in 10 solid colors and 3 smart two-tone exterior color combinations. Plymouth offers only 9 solid colors and no two-tones at all on the Suburban. Note, too, that the Ford has a greater inside beauty and practicality, too, with a long-wearing composition-covered floor area and attractive vinyl-trimmed side panels and headlining. Contrast this with the exposed metal area of the floor and wheel housing of the Plymouth Suburban. Also, there's more load space inside the Ranch Wagon, too. 98 cubic feet to Plymouth's 78.1. Almost 20 cubic feet more usable inside space in the Ford. A comparison of floor area shows that Ford has 29 2/10 square feet, while Plymouth has only 22.9. In other words, Ford has 6 square feet more floor space than Plymouth. Now, look at this Ford convenience advantage. You can lift this cover up easily, without tools, to get at the spare tire. In Plymouth, you have to unbolt this cover and pry it up to reach the spare tire. The rear liftgate on the Ranch Wagon has a convenient push-button latch compared to the turn handle on the Plymouth. Also, the Ford liftgate is easier to raise because it's counterbalanced. Plymouth's liftgate is not counterbalanced, and therefore more effort is required to open it. Also, the Ford tailgate can be easily lowered with one hand by releasing one central latch. On Plymouth, 2 latches, one on each side, must be released to lower the tailgate. In addition to all these basic advantages, the Ford Ranch Wagon 6 costs over $150 less than the Plymouth Suburban. Even with a V8 engine, the Ranch Wagon costs about $85 less than the Plymouth Suburban. I think you'll agree that that gives Ford a big edge on value per dollar invested. Remember, Plymouth has had this field pretty much to itself. But if we point out all the superiorities of our new Ranch Wagon, we'll put Ford on top, where it belongs. Now let's see about economy in the overall line. With all of Ford's advantages, you would naturally think Ford would cost more than Plymouth, but it doesn't. Our 52 price comparison bulletin, you'll recall, shows that on every body style, Ford is priced less than Plymouth, roughly an average of $100 less. In operating economy, too, Ford surpasses Plymouth. This has been proved 3 years in a row in the famed mobile gas economy run. Now, here are the facts. In the 1950 test, the Ford 6 with overdrive gave 23 3/10 miles per gallon. Plymouth gave only 21 1/10. In the 1951 test, the Ford gave 25 9/10 miles per gallon to Plymouth's 23. And again, in the 1952 test, Ford gave 25 5/10 miles per gallon to Plymouth's 23 5/10. In 1951 and 1952, a Ford V8 was also entered in the economy run along with the Ford 6, and the average miles per gallon for these 2 years shows that both the Ford 6 and the Ford V8 gave more miles per gallon than Plymouth, 25 7/10 for the Ford 6 and 24 for the Ford V8, compared to 23 2/10 for the Plymouth. Yes, this consistency of gas mileage leadership proves that Ford is superior to Plymouth in operating economy. And for a comparison of depreciation, we have only to look at Ford's high resale value in used car guidebooks, auction reports, and newspaper ads to prove that Ford again leads Plymouth with lower depreciation. And certainly the 4-year-old appearance of the 52 Plymouth will make the all-new 52 Ford an even greater value on the used car market. Yes, on every one of these counts, the 52 Ford outvalues Plymouth. Remember these Ford advantages over Plymouth: more distinction and beauty with all new body lines, more body styles and more color and upholstery combinations, more power with a choice of a 110 horsepower V8 engine or a superior 101 horsepower 6-cylinder engine. Better engine performance with these Ford engine advantages: lower internal friction, free turning valves, greater torque, waterproof ignition, automatic power pilot, and better cooling. A choice of 6 power transmission combinations compared to Plymouth's 2. An option of an automatic transmission not available on Plymouth. The safety of more visibility with over 400 square inches more total glass area, and an exclusive one-piece curved windshield and a larger rear window. Variable speed windshield wipers. More brake lining area for safer, surer stops. More conveniently located master brake cylinder. And new suspended brake and clutch pedal mounting. Easier clutch pedal action with a semi-centrifugal clutch. And greater safety with a real emergency brake. Ford has the greater comfort of foam rubber seats, standard on all models. Scientifically planned roomy interiors. A better, more modern ventilating system for driver and passenger comfort. Better ride control features with tailored to model front springs, tension shackles on rear springs, wider front tread, and greater weight. More convenience features with handier location of controls. Better location of interior lights. A large, more usable luggage compartment with no waste space. Easier to open, easier to close. Easy access to the gas pump with center-fill fueling. Add to these many advantages Ford's greater operating economy, lower initial price, and less depreciation, and you can come to only one conclusion. And that is, you can pay more, but you can't buy better than Ford.
Please like and subscribe to stay tuned for more videos.